Lynn, one of the top guys in our program. He is with JLynn Associates and a visiting professional in our program. Jimmy, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, JT.
So our first question is, obviously this SEME conference is just unbelievable exposure for the students in our program, the young professionals, and really everybody that takes part in it. Could you talk about, from a student perspective, from somebody looking to enter the industry, just the networking opportunities and what it's like for them to be at a conference of this magnitude?
Sure, great question. I think from a student perspective, this is fantastic use of people's time. This is our 9th year of doing this. I think when I came out of graduate school, there's nothing like this. I wanted to work in sports, there's nothing like this. So I think the program, the way we structured it, with panel sessions, the networking, lunches, I think it's terrific because sports is so hard to break into.
Yep.
It's really about internships, networking, getting into the game. The fact that we have over 90 professionals here, there's so much networking. And I think it's great where the students come to me and say, hey Jimmy, I want to meet so-and-so from this organization, this team, this league. I can just make that connection, exchange a business card, get the email, then it's game on.
Yeah, and there's a lot of students who aren't from our program here. And for them to be able to see, our bosses from, our various internships in that roundtable yesterday was such a great experience. I think for us to see what, our bosses are saying about this program, but also for these people, how, for these students, what was that discussion like yesterday?
Well, you know me, I would like to talk to everyone. So I talk to a lot of students that aren't part of our program,
yeah.
And they're in these programs which I'm sure are good, but they're being taught by professors that aren't in the business. And I think what some of the students said, that they're learning so much, how I'm pushing the emerging trends of global, international, multicultural, digital, social, tying in all the different things. They're not taught some of that, and I think a lot of them are like, wow, this is really you're teaching this cutting edge stuff, and that's what we try to do is position you. You're the next generation. Yep. You understand multi-platform programming, so we're trying to push you in the right direction to help you get that job.
Now, one of the themes, as you just brought up, has been globalization, and I just got back from London with you, and we learned all about the culture of sports outside of America. But could you talk a little bit about with the SEME program, especially trying to expand to places like Qatar, Russia, especially London, where you just came back from. How important is it in this industry and for the SEME program?
I think it's vital. I mean, there's so many programs, there's so much out there, but you have to put certain stakes in the ground where you want to take your program. So the one part of our program is moving it into digital and social, cutting edge on digital and social, pushing it towards multicultural and diversity, because that's important. Then globalization is key. And it also ties into Georgetown's macro plans of becoming even better known as a global university. So it goes both ways. So, we took our students to China for the Georgetown game last year. We took our students to South Africa for 2010 World Cup. We take our students to London every year. Well, most likely we'll start taking students to Brazil because of the World Cup and the Olympics. So it's just really, really key to expand that. And our goal is to become the #1 sport management program in the world. I think we're on our way, and we're going to just keep doing that.
Well, so many of the brands out there today, we just heard from Dan at the NBA, who's, they're big on globalization. How, for the students here to be able to hear from somebody like that, to really put into perspective, because they might not know too much about what we're doing, but hopefully after this weekend they will, but to hear about somebody from the NBA.
Right. No, and we love that. We encourage our students to go work. So we have one of our graduates works for the Brazil Olympic Committee. We have one of our graduates works for IMG in London that you met, and so that's great, but it goes both ways. We also want students coming here, and that's an opportunity we see. So we'll have more and more Chinese students coming here to the U.S., more and more Brazilian students coming here to the U.S., and then you mentioned some of the other countries, but Russia, which is going to have the the Olympics in 2014, World Cup in 2018, will be there. Qatar's going to have the World Cup in 2022. We're one of 6 universities in Doha in the university part, so we'll be there. So it's a total win-win.
Perfect. And I think something else a lot of people at this conference want to know about is maybe they're trying to transfer into the sports industry from, a brand like Coke or Google or, even Capital One. What can they bring with them? What can you tell them, give them some advice? What are they bringing with them to this program that can really help them in the sports industry? Well,
I mean, what you mentioned are great brand names, and we always say brands win. Brands always win. So if you know how to market a brand, you do that well, that skill's going to transfer. If you know how to sell, that's going to transfer. So, I mean, sports really is a branding game.
Where do you see the industry headed in the next 10 years? Because I think it's an evolving industry.
It's easy. This one's easy. I probably had 25 high-level meetings at the NBA All-Star Week in Orlando a couple weeks ago, and then in London. and talking with all these topics, it's clear where this is going. It's going to continue to push more in the digital space. So, I mean, the projections are 9 to 10 billion people will be on smartphones and tablets through the rest of the decade, and 80%, 85% will be outside the U.S. So sports always leads to the way the adoption of new technology. So sports and entertainment are always going to be vital and key. So with all these people adding new devices, especially globally, as we talked about in London, sports is going to be the key driver of that.